Hello, Jill. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
I'm.
Can I just mention straight away? Great shirt.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, if you're watching the video version, I've got a nice, colourful Hawaiian
Oh,
summery shirt on, mainly because the sun's shining and I'm trying to be optimistic.
yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how long it will last?
Hmm. I think today. I think that's it.
Yeah, and yesterday.
Yes, and but yeah,
Yeah,
no, but after today, that's it.
that's
It's
it for
not
the
going to
week.
rain, but it's not going to be as sunny. So
No,
there we go. Weather as well. Treading the boards and a bit of weather thrown in.
I know, beautiful, beautiful.
Class for Ben.
We've given a weather report a week after
The
this
weather.
is
Yeah,
released about.
I can't get my head around the whole sending it out. It's not live.
Sending
Imagine
out
if we
the.
did it, if we had to do this live, and then I said all those rude things I've just said to you before you started recording.
Yeah, we'd probably get shut down by social media and by Facebook.
What do you think? What
Um,
do you think about that story? Is it too rude for the podcast?
maybe you can do a slightly edited version, but I think it's a good story to share.
Okay, it's a good story. Okay, so we've just been out for a nice walk on Famille around the Great Hill estate, driving back, listening to EP on Sunday. Along came a song called Wonderful, Wonderful Day from Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, which I thought, oh, I love this one. I said, Katie, you could sing this one. This is in your range. And off I went singing full belt in the car, only to get to the line in the song. He came out of nowhere, looking straight my way. Wonderful, wonderful day. He saw someone touch me, and he tossed him off like a bale of hay.
I mean, it's just filth, isn't it?
Just feel them. It's Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I thought that was one of those wholesome ones.
People say that modern shows nowadays are quite on the edge in terms of like Priscilla and Kinky Boots and stuff.
No,
You look at these older shows; it's pure filth.
filth, utter filth. Those dirty, dirty hay bales.
Or maybe we're just dirty-minded and it means something quite innocent.
I don't know. Well, it wasn't me, it was the rest of the family. I sang top soprano belt, the line from the song, thinking nothing of it. And the rest of them went, What did you just sing, you dirty woman?
You sing it out the window at passers-by.
Yes, because they're all posh in Great Chew, aren't they?
Yeah.
We walked past a posh family, and as we walked past them, the posh dad said, "Do you know, I really think I should have called you Bartholomew." Or was it Balthazar or something? It was one of those posh names that you just think, that man's actually just said that.
My God, you're walking through like a TV set of a stereotypical posh town village.
On TV set, yeah. And you can tell the posh people coming towards you because they look a bit scruffy, but you know that the scruffiness is really expensive.
Scruffy for a posh person.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but like designer scruffy.
Yeah,
But they've spent a lot of money to look that scruffy.
but they've actually been out riding their horse or something.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
why they're. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Anyway,
And we just, maybe that's just all our audience just turned off. That was me. I said that comment about Bartholomew or Balthazar or whatever it was.
I mean,
Here we are again. It's Sunday. We're recording. And
we
we've got
are.
a lovely guest coming up, haven't we, Ben?
We have got a great guest coming up. And before we introduce our guest, I think we should talk about, just because it was announced, I mean, by the time this airs, it was announced coming up to a couple of weeks ago, but it's the roadmap out of lockdown, which is very exciting.
Very exciting.
It feels for a change that we can make plans, possibly, tentative plans, not certain plans. People shouldn't go mad, I don't think.
No.
But it does mean that perhaps plans can come into place. So by the look of it, Jill, by the interpretation for amateur theatre and for theatre is that from the 17th of May, people can meet in socially distanced ways to sort of rehearse and possibly even stage a socially distanced performance.
Inside a building.
Yes. But I would tentatively say it's probably more aimed towards professionals, personally.
Oh, okay. I mean, we are fairly professional, Ben, but
I think there is I don't think it's specific, but I think we should be careful, obviously.
Okay.
But then obviously from the 21st of June, it is meant to be that most restrictions are lifted. Which means we, in theory, can rehearse as normal, stage a production without social distancing.
Do you think that even the audience could be without social distancing from there?
Well, apparently, but I don't know. Obviously, they have said that some restrictions may be in place.
Yeah.
So apparently from the 21st of June, it will be fine, but they're going to review those restrictions. It does feel quite a leap, doesn't it? To go from, we can only have 6 people to full audiences.
Yeah. And that's why we're Bodycut, we were talking about, do we try and set a date for our show yet? And we were all like, do you know what, just feels too soon to nail our colours to any mast.
Yeah, I think it's worth sort of penciling in ideas and sort of, well, if it's this, then we can perhaps go on this day and we can get back to rehearsals on this day. I think that's great, and I think groups should do that. But I think, full on advertising saying this is definitely when we're doing and selling tickets. I think,
Yobbos, Bubs. What about Yobbos for the summer?
Summer school. Oh, we've got a few ideas for Yobbos, and we've had a few ideas for the past couple of months. And basically for Yobbos, we've had like a plan A, B, C, and D in place. Literally, it's not even an exaggeration. We have 4 plans in place, depending on what the situation is. We've already ruled out plan A, and we're already on plan B, which is fine. But basically, we will do something. But again, I think even with that 21st of June, as long as they remember, and people need to remember the 21st of June is only if every other step goes well. Yeah. People are getting very excited about the 21st of June, but they can't let us down. They have to still do the work, do the stuff, It
hasn't stopped the Premier Inn sticking the prices up from that date.
Well, I think a lot of places, unfortunately, have done that. But it's hopeful, isn't it? I suppose because it's about the vaccine and the vaccine rollout. I mean, it's great to think that we could hopefully have Christmas shows and Christmas pantos back, professionally and amateur-wise, and that sort of thing. It's great to think that is on the horizon when it's coming up for most of us. For it'll be possibly about 2 years since I know we've done a show. Mad, but it's exciting. There is an end in sight, and people should definitely be making their plans for the next steps, but make them tentatively.
Yes, and also keep doing the right thing now, not getting too silly too quickly.
I also think, Joe, and I've said this to you before, I think, and I've said it to a few people, I think whilst we all are very excited as amateur theatre people to get back, and we all really want to get back to it because it's good for our mental health and it's an important part of our lives, I think we have to be very respectful of the professional performers and actors and shows, in terms of, I've seen lots of people really pushing for amateur theatre to get back. But actually, the priority should be the professional theatres and the people who are paid and the people who rely on this as their livelihoods. I feel like I'm going to be honest. I've seen some people's comments that I think are a bit selfish, actually. And I know, it's a big part of our lives, Jill. It's a huge part of our lives, and there's nothing more I want than to get back to it. But we have to make sure that the professional industry is back first and back correctly and effectively, and people are earning before we can get too excited about it.
Yes, definitely. Very good. Very strong, Ben. Very strong.
Thank you.
Made.
And if you disagree with me, let me know, and we'll have a debate. We'll have a debate.
We could have a fight, even.
All right, Jill.
Have a scuffle. Oh no, because you've got to stay 2 meters apart, haven't you?
Yeah, you're going to see me get punched or something.
Well, yes.
I mean, I'm a target in this shirt.
It's been a long-held dream of mine.
Oh, cheers. Great. I'm glad we're doing a podcast together.
Topic of the week. Should we talk about topic of the week? Because we've got a guest and she's very, very cool.
Let's talk about our topic of the week.
Topic of the week.
Topic of the week. Don't overdub that. I saw what you did last week.
Well, I said that we would try and include it, and then it just seemed like the best place to put it.
Right over the top of me singing.
Yeah.
Probably was.
It was a good. Well, no, because when I was editing it, you did go quite silent. It sort of the sound went, so it was literally
whatever, Ben.
I swear, it was literally the best place to put it. But yes, let's talk about our topic of the week. So we're very excited because in a moment we're going to be chatting with Kerry Jay, who was a professional actor in the West End, had many lead role in many a well-known show, including Chicago, We Will Rock You, Les Mis, I believe, and we'll be talking to her in a moment. So and kind of links to what I was just saying about making sure our professional industries are back first, and what we can perhaps learn from the professionals and from professional theatre, and what we can take on board. I'm excited about it.
I'm going to be excited to ask her the similarities and differences. You know, what because she's done stuff locally as well with amateur theatre. You know, what does she find that's exactly the same, and what does she find that's really different? I always think that, you know, when we have a show week, it's 1 week and it's so exciting, and you kind of change your routine entirely, and you kind of do nothing, and then you do lots in the evening. But that's their life, isn't it? If you're in the West End, that's it every day, sometimes twice a day.
Yeah, I find that interesting, and that's actually a really good question to ask, isn't it? Because I think, like you say, I know when it's show week, you know, at the end of show week when you're like, oh, I'm really going to miss it. Oh, I feel really flat. Do they feel like that? Did they, you know, I'm sure they missed it because they'll miss friends and stuff, but sometimes they're like, oh, thank God I don't have to sing that again. And, you know, like when they come to their, like, I know their weekends are different because obviously they perform on Saturdays and stuff, but when they come to their no-show day on a Sunday, are they like, thank God it's a break? Do they feel like some of us do at the end of the week?
Working week. Yeah, isn't it interesting? Yeah.
Whereas we're like,
I can't wait to pick her brains.
I know, and you know, knowing how long she's wanted to do it for, whether it was from when she was at school or
yes, and that leads me on to my pre-Kerry joining us question for you, young man.
Oh, okay.
Lean into camera. You are a drama teacher, are you not?
I am indeed.
As well as running many local youth groups.
Yes.
So this is my question for you, which I might ask Kerry as well when she joins us. But can you pick it out? So can you, when you meet a young performer, do you immediately know, this one could make it on the West End, that one can't, this one could, that one can't? Is that hard? Am I being really, is that a bad question? No, I think that's a good question. Go on.
I think you can see if people are talented enough to make it. Like, I think, you know, some people do just perform and you go, wow, this kid's got something. You know, this kid's amazing. I don't think that means that people who necessarily don't immediately strike you as being amazing can't make it. I think, you know, people, it's that debate, isn't it? And that question as to when you're a performer, is it about natural born talent or is it something you learn? And the argument is there's a mixture of the two. You know, I don't think anyone is just naturally born talented and they're ready to go, because if that's the case, why do people pay thousands to go to drama school? You know, it means it's a waste of time. It means it's a big con. I mean, some might argue that it is, but you know, then what's the point of education and learning to be a performer? So I think, you know, there are some people who you can just go, well, you are very naturally gifted.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, you didn't mean me.
Some people. But then, you know, there are some who do learn it and learn their craft. And, you know, it's about encouraging people, regardless of, you know, if, you know, because some people are quite shy, but they do come out of their shell along the way. It's about encouraging them, being realistic with them as well, I think, because not everyone, unfortunately, is going to, just because you want to perform in the West End, not everyone will end up performing in the West End. It is one of the most trickiest industries to get into in the world. But if that's your dream, go for it. You know? You got to try. You won't know if that's your try, or do you?
No, I thought you were going to burst into song then. I don't know why, but I just felt like if we had been in a musical, that line you just said would have led into a number about have a go.
Have a go. Come and have a go if you think.
Yeah.
Not that one.
It's just a musical right here and now.
Do you think that's a good answer? Do you think that's a respectable answer?
That's a respectable answer. Yeah. No, I think there is that. I mean, and some people who are really, really talented don't want to have a go at it. And some people, do you know what I mean? It's so many different factors, isn't it, that go into making that kind of decision as to whether that's going to be your life or not.
Yeah, and I think it's also about learning. It's not just about the talent, is it? It's about learning the discipline and techniques and things like that. You know, I always say, you know, what I teach at school is stuff that I probably wouldn't ever bring when we come and do like our theatre group. You know, when I'm talking about theories and practitioners, I don't come in and go, we're not rehearsing Robin Hood, and I'm going, I want you to think about the Brechtian techniques here and think about Stanislavski's given circumstances. You don't do that. I mean, you could, and it might be interesting to do a workshop on it, don't get me wrong, but it's a different thing, isn't it? And you learning those theories, I think, are good because they develop you as a performer in other areas, and that's why you go and learn about it. But
there's nothing that beats a good old bit of practice, hey Ben?
Exactly, and that's the thing, you know, if you just because you know theory, if you don't try it, if you don't, you know.
Which leads me, I mean, I'm desperately trying to do fitness because it's lockdown and there's not a lot you can control. So I'm desperately trying to control my stomach. And I was having issues about this whole, like, Kerry is actually one of my fitness instructors. She runs a very good club fit session twice a week. Just doing an early pitch for that. And she says, suck in navel to spine and then breathe in for 2, breathe out for 2. Now, I could not do sucking in and also breathing. And try it now, Ben. Try it now. Suck in. Now breathe in for 2 and out for 2.
Oh, it's difficult, isn't it?
Isn't it difficult? And the answer on that, obviously, exactly the same. Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah, exactly. Develop those skills, learn along the way. But yeah, it's a tricky one, really. I think, you know, some people just are annoyingly talented as well, though, aren't they?
We don't like to talk to those kind of people. They do with them normally.
No. We hope that there's something else going wrong in their lives. No, I'm joking.
Put that shirt on. It sports out a right nasty streak in you, Benjamin.
Nasty shade of red, literally, in me. No, I'm joking, of course, especially not about my students. But anyway, perhaps there's a good time, quickly, to lead us on to our special guest.
Indeed, let's welcome her.
Let's welcome to our lovely little podcast, Kerry Jay.
Kerry Jay, yeah!
Hello, Kerry.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very
Look
good.
at the shirt, Kerry. It's very bright, isn't it?
Oh, tropical.
I mean, because Jill is the fashion guru, clearly.
I am the fashion guru, Benjamin. I think you're fine.
So, Kerry, we're very excited to have you on. We've got lots of questions for you that we want to get through. But tell us when you started treading the boards.
That's the name of the podcast. He has to say it.
Treading the boards.
It's part of the contract. He has to say treading the boards at least every 10 minutes.
My first professional gig, that I call it that, was when I was 5. I was born in Clacton-on-Sea, so that's where I grew up. And there was a hotel on the seafront, which is gone to seed a little bit these days, but it was the Royal Hotel, it's called. And I sung "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow."
Oh, classic.
Like I can picture my little because I had to wear this blue velvet dress, and I hated the velvet dress. And at the end of it, I got paid. With a silver-plated candlestick holder.
Oh, how
and I still have that. I put my advent candle in it each year.
Nice.
So I count that as, I think it was some sort of Rotary do or something, but I count that as my first paid gig.
And then what happened to you? Go on, talk us through it.
Just lots of dancing school stuff. We used to do all the Ladbrokes holidays, the Haven holidays, that sort of thing. They always used to have a talent competition when you went on holiday there. And if you won the talent competition, you won a holiday to go back for the big grand final, which was always at Halloween weekend for a start, which was brilliant because at the end of the week, everybody would dress up and we'd have this huge party. And now the smell of black bin liners, and I'm just instantly transported back there. Because in those days it wasn't Halloween costumes, was it? It was all black bin liners. So anyway, so that was, so me and my sister used to have a sister act, a little double act where we used to do things together. So and one year we won it, which was brilliant, like the grand final, and it was sponsored by the Milk Marketing Board. So we won 365 bottles of milk.
No way.
Which was really
not all at once.
And one was delivered throughout the year. And my mum, no, you know, she's a bit thrifty. She says, "Oh, we don't drink that. We drink UHT. Can we have the money instead?" And they gave her the money.
Brilliant.
Which we saw nothing of. It went straight into the bank account, and that was it.
Good mothering. I like it. That's what I would.
But we also won a weekend away to. They treated all of the finalists, all the prize winners that year. We got a weekend in London where we went to see a panto with all of the, you know, the stars of that time. I can't remember who was in it, but you know, the big famous London Palladium panto. We got a weekend away.
Oh, she's so popular. This is the Haven Holidays ringing her to say come back.
Right, I did tell him I was on a call at this time. Every single time he rings me, every single time I do anything in a wedding dance or a club, every time a club fit, he always rings me.
It's through the speaker.
Anyway. So yeah, that was that really. We got a bit of an agent around that time as well. We did agency, got onto Bowden's agency was the thing at the time, and we got a few little commercials, things like that. I got to tap dance with Ronald McDonald, which was very exciting. And I had these tap shoes. They didn't let us keep them, which was such a shame because it was a proper clown, you know, Ronald McDonald's shoes with taps at the bottom. Very fabulous, but we weren't allowed to keep them.
I mean, this is how the other half lived, Ben.
Tap dancing with Ronald McDonald. I mean, that's a highlight of the career. Sure.
But yeah, just little things like that, and then ended up going to the open auditions for the children for Les Mis. So I ended up getting the part of young Eponine, which was really exciting because it was still the first cast of Les Mis. So it was Francis Raphael, Con Wilkinson, you know, what's his name? Lots of Peter Policarpo, all, you know, all the real Sue Jane Tanner, all the real amazing cast. So we weren't the first cast of kids, we were this, like, I think the second cast of kids, but it was still the first cast of adults. Wow. So yeah.
And did you sort of feel like you learned a lot in that, sort of just having that practical experience with these professionals?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of having to pick things up very quickly, obviously every time the kids are in, they're paying the adults, so they don't want to do that much. So you are very intensely learning at that age. This is your stuff, learn it quick, you're on. So yeah, I think it's knowing this is professional, this is serious, you've got to do it, you know. There's no excuses.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How did you balance? How does it work for sort of child performers in terms of sort of schooling and travel and things like that? How does it work sort of with normal life, as it were?
So children are only allowed to work certain numbers of days a year. You've got your license. You have to apply for your license from the council. And you're on. So there was 3 casts of kids at any one time when I was doing Les Mis. So you did 2 to 4 shows a week. So it was either, if you were on a Saturday, you did the matinee and the evening performance, and you'd do maybe the Friday and the Saturday. So you might do 4 shows that week, but another week you might do just the Tuesday and Wednesday, and you'd do 2 shows. So, and it was always nice on a matinee one, because you got to go out to eat dinner with the chaperone in between shows. So, yeah, that was always a good fun one. And it was sort of.
Did you do that from Clacton? Did you travel?
Yeah, so my nana used to take us up a lot on the train. My nana was brilliant. She'd took us up on the train and just hung around in London for hours and took us home again. You didn't have to stay to the end of the show because we were only in the first half with that show. So yeah, we managed to get the last
nowadays
train
there's
home.
quite a lot of the kids parts that they say you have to live within the M25 to be in the show, unless you're Matilda. I remember this from the Matilda. Unless you're Matilda, and the only way you can be Matilda is if you're under 4'11". My Katie was over 4'11" by the time she was about 4. So she never stood a chance.
It was always an advantage being small. A lot like the Cosette I was with, she was a little diddy thing, so she was about 3 years older than me but shorter than me. So I think, and she obviously had the maturity and the voice for Cosette, whereas I was, Eponine, but I was a lot younger than her. Although saying that, actually, my sister ended up doing Cosette. I did like 6 months of me going up and back to London, and then my sister kind of got the back doorway in. So, and then my parents had to do another in 4 months of taking her up and down.
So did you decide there and then that you wanted to do it forever?
I don't ever remember it being a decision. It was just always assumed that was what I was going to do. I don't remember it ever being discussed or questioned or anything like that, really. It was, I don't know, I think at school, I think now people are given options a lot more and told you can do this and you can do this if you want to. I remember there was a program on TV a couple of years ago, how to be an astronaut or something. And there was a girl on there who 6 months of the year was a ballerina with the English National Ballet. I think she was a soloist with the English National Ballet. And the other 6 months a year, she was doing a PhD in astrophysics. And I just remember being staggered.
She's one of those we'd really have liked, Ben. We know, one of those horribly talented people to get on with.
But yeah, I don't know. When I was growing up, you never had that choice. I was never academic at school, not because I wasn't academic. I mean, I ended up getting all A's from the GCSEs, but not. It just was, oh, really? You've got a brain, but you're a dancer. You couldn't be two things back then. You were only the thing that you were told you were going to be. And I was a good girl and did what I was told I was going to be, and never occurred to me to question it. Whereas I think nowadays kids are told you have options, you can do anything. And
Thirdly, though, actually, we talked quite a lot about this last week, about the commitment sometimes to clubs, is that there are still people who think you should pick. You can't do dancing in shows and do sport and do something else. So there's a lot of those. That still does happen, I think. The kind of, well, if you've got to commit to one thing or another.
Yeah. I remember at one stage ballet clashed with gymnastics on a Friday, and Mum said, you're going to have to choose. You can either do ballet or gymnastics. And I said, I'm going to do gymnastics. And she said, no, you're not. You're doing ballet.
You're going to choose as long as you choose ballet. I love it.
Illusion of choice was there.
Yeah.
So after Les Mis and after that, what was your next sort of steps in that sort of industry?
Well, kind of, I mean, I guess going back to you asking about how children's education is managed with sort of working professionally, I went on to do Grange Hill then. So when I was in my first year at secondary school, I did a couple of months on. I was only like somebody's younger sister, so I wasn't one of the main characters. But
I think you should be aiming to find pictures of Kerry though through all of these things she says and posting them.
I was a really irritating one on there. I was literally the posh little sister at private school. It was very embarrassing. And the worst thing was, my dad at the time told the local paper that he'd never actually let me watch Grange Hill. I was like, can you imagine going into school the next day?
Oh, love a page. Love it.
So, but anyway, you had actual teachers there, so everybody on Grange Hill had lessons, normal lessons. Then they'd be, so there was a full-time school almost at the Grange Hill studios, at Elstree Studios. There was an actual school set there, so that the regular characters had the same teachers taking them through on every school day. And yeah, I mean, the curriculum was probably a bit more haphazard in those days as well, wasn't it? But
Sorry, you remind me of the parent story there, that my mum and dad wouldn't let us watch It Ain't Half Hot, Mum, because they said shut up in the opening titles.
As you can see, it worked wonderfully, and Jill is now the most polite.
Yeah.
Say a swear word, do I?
Nothing comes out of your mouth that's bad ever.
I mean, this podcast alone proves otherwise. Just the other episode.
Kerry hasn't heard the beginning of the podcast, so when she listens to it when it comes out next Friday, she'll go, "Oh, that's what they're talking about."
So it can be bleep moments.
Yeah.
I wonder sometimes when I edit it together. So what was so obviously you were sort of a child performer, as it were, and that, but when you became an adult, you were still carried on as a performer, and you were in some quite big and well-known shows. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I went to dance college. So at 16, left school and went to dance college, which I sort of I liked a lot in some ways, and really didn't in some ways. Again, people were compartmentalized into you are this, you're a dancer, so you can't be a singer, you're a singer, which was ridiculous because you need to do everything in the West End. And also I don't think I quite fitted the mould in. It was a lot of young ladies who you're expected to wear full makeup every day to class and dress in certain ways, and I didn't quite fit the mould. So I liked it. I was inspired by a lot of things, but I didn't love that time. And on the same time, because I'd left school at 16 without any A-levels, I went on to do a couple of A-levels at night school. And then after that, I'd had enough. The whole musical the theatre school thing, I just thought, this isn't right. And the drama teacher there actually said, well, why don't you go to university, which is something I've never remotely considered. So I managed to talk myself onto a university course, I think mainly because the only science, I like science, but I wasn't obviously no qualifications whatsoever in science. The A-levels at night school were English and something else, I can't remember. So I managed to talk myself onto sports science, mainly because the head lecturer was into dance. He liked contemporary, so I managed to kind of talk his ear into that. And he let me on the course for that. But the trouble is with sports science, it was all full of, people who read the paper from back to front, and, football, and, all that wasn't the kind of stuff I was into. So I had a best year of my life at uni, absolutely fantastic, and met awesome people. But because I'd picked a university that was in London, and I was in halls in London, I started to sort of buy the stage newspaper, and look, there's an audition, I could just hop along to that. And there was free dance class, so I just popped to this audition, so I ended up getting Chicago, which was fantastic. So I did the part of Hunyak in Chicago for a couple of years, who's the Hungarian who gets hanged very dramatically. So I used to die every night. They 2 years in pants and knickers on stage.
Not dying on stage, just dying.
Just dying, yeah. Yeah, so 2 years of that. Well, I did 1 year's contract on that, and then the second year they offered me the first cover of Roxy, so I went on to understudy. So I was like, every time Denise Van Outen was off sick, I was on, and Claire Sweeney and a few others.
Have you done that pose, like on top of the Chicago thing, when the person sits with their legs out?
Oh no, I haven't done the splits one, but I have done a few other ones. I've got one like that when I'm in my bra going like that very dramatically.
Katie's agent is one of those people who does the splits.
Who's that? That's not Vanessa, is it?
Adele, I can't think of her surname right now. But, no. It's one of those where you kind of see a picture and go, oh, I know that face.
So what was it like being an understudy for someone? Because I think that's obviously, for the amateur theatre world, we don't often have understudies because we're obviously on for a limited time, and the likelihood of someone being, I mean, it's typical when it happens, but you know, we don't sort of have that. So what's it like being an understudy?
It's obviously wonderful when you obviously want to be the part, but to have that opportunity of being the lead in a West End musical is amazing. And if it's only as an understudy, it's, you know, it's better than nothing, isn't it? You kind of, you know there's going to be, you don't know how many days you're going to be on in a year, but usually you're definitely going to get on. And it's always lovely when you get on. First of all, you get a bonus every time you're on, which is fabulous. Secondly, the only thing is you don't often get time to, it could be 4 o'clock and you get the call that, or even later. So you don't always manage to ring enough people to try and get a ticket. But my mum managed to get there. She was meant to be working that night. She teaches Keep Fit, and I think she put a sign on her hall saying, "I'm not coming in tonight." and so she managed to race up to London to see me on a few of the nights that I was on. And the other thing is the leads get a bath in their dressing room. Oh, so you make sure you get the dressing room nice and early and get the bubbles in the bubble bath in.
That is a bonus, isn't it?
Definitely.
Then next time we do Panto, I'll bring some sort of tin bath, put it outside the boys' dressing room for you.
Our dressing room.
For the leads, they can have a bath before.
I'll squirt you down with some big hose.
A dog that you brought back from a walk, you know.
Do you know, I saw that actually on my posh walk today, there was a man who had an actual kind of shower thing in the boot of his car, got out the boot of his car with a shower to spray down his dog before he put him in his posh car.
That's genius.
Quite smart, to be fair. It's quite a good idea.
So, you know, Dan's got one for his bike. He does it for his bike, but not for a dog.
Ben, I don't know what you're moaning about. I think we should definitely do
it.
Come off stage into the wings.
To be fair, when we do a summer show in the theatre with no air conditioning, we need it.
Yeah.
Smelly. So obviously you had a great time in Chicago. Is any other shows that you were involved in that people might have heard of?
Yeah, I went to I did Follies after that, which was wonderful. I mean, I'm a massive Stephen Sondheim fan. I did the when Odyssey did the Into the Woods here a couple of years ago. That's my Amdram experience. So, and that was fun. But doing the witch, but I had to do that part. I just love Sondheim so much. And Follies was a really special show. It was at the Royal Festival Hall. And the costumes were sponsored by Swarovski crystals. So every night after the show, it was like that on the dressing room floor, gathering all the little crystals up that had fallen off costumes, and I made like bracelets and stuff with them. So, but the really cool thing was that it was all because Follies, the story of Follies is that it's the old actresses looking back on their past. So the all old showgirls of years gone by looking back on how they were when they were young. So we were obviously the young, remember, you know, the dreams, the recollections, and you just had these amazing actresses in their 70s and 80s still doing the tap dance. Just so, I mean, the stories some of them told, a lot of them were in the Carry On films. My older me was Louise Gold, who is one of the Muppets, basically. She did all the original Muppet stuff. Oh, wow. and Labyrinth and all of that. She's just incredible, but
Losing My Mind, that's from Follies, isn't it?
Yes.
That song. I love that song.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's some brilliant songs in it. And it was really quite humbling to hear all these old ladies talk about their lives in theatre.
We are the old lady. No, you're
not.
No.
I just thought, oh my God, if I'm that age and still doing it, that'd be cool.
It will be. It will be. But that's the thing, when Ben, our first podcast, was saying to me, what character what parts would you now like to do? You have to kind of cross off the ones you used to say when you were young, and you have to start saying those kind of, well, I'd like to be the mother in, the grandmother in this. Are there any parts that you really wanted to do, Kerry, that you never got to do?
Oh God, there's probably hundreds. So I don't
Or
know.
like that one you just said that you had to do Into the Woods. If we were to do a show to tempt you into our theatre land, what part would we have to have in it?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know. I can't think.
It's a tricky one. It's on the spot, isn't it?
Tricky one. Yes, I know. You've thrown me something there.
Well, send me an email afterwards.
I had to do Rizzo, but I'm probably a bit old for her now.
Great part, Rizzo.
Mm.
We read the Grease recently, didn't we, Ben? But we read the junior version.
Okay.
It's quite odd because the Rizzo part has had its part cut, basically.
Yeah,
She's
right.
not allowed to have a teenage pregnancy in the
Yeah.
junior version.
Yeah.
Kind of
Ironically, in the junior version, because of the cut, Rizzo is probably the most uncontroversial character in the whole show. she's just there compared to all the others.
I was Cha-Cha in Greece.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was Cha-Cha. I got to snog Danny. Which was cool, but we took that to Japan. Actually, we did a tour out in Japan of that. So after we'd done it in town, we did a few months around Japan, which was so cool. You get all the the Japanese hanging at the stage door with massive quiffs and really dreading lines. They got so into it.
So, if you think back to your time in the West End, and help us now, because what are the similarities between that and when you do it in the amateur world of our Treading the Boards, and what things are really different?
Different, to start with, is rehearsal time. I remember Into the Woods, I think we started rehearsing it almost 6 months a year before the performance, whereas a usual, for a new show, I mean, you're probably rehearsing around 4 to 6 weeks, but for a cast change, it's generally 2 weeks. So you would learn when you came in, so, come into, when I did We Will Rock You, it was 2 weeks before opening night, you'd have your very first rehearsal of learning everything, the whole dance routines, the harmonies, because there's a lot of harmony going on as well in all of the songs, so you have to learn your parts. I mean, it's tough for a normal part, that who I have so much respect for on these shows are the swings. So the swings will cover 8-10 different parts, and just be able to, they all had their folders, they'd all have everybody's track, they used to call it, written down. So if they were on, so if I was off that night, they'd be able to go on, because it's a normal show, you book your holiday, you're on a contract for a year, you're entitled to holiday and days off and everything like that, so you need the understudies and swings will definitely get get on, because there's plenty of times. And
that,
I don't think I ever knew what the word swing, when you read the programme, I don't think I ever really understood what swing means. Is that, it means that there's...
So in a cast of around 10, you will have, for example, 2 swings who will know every single one of those 10 parts.
Wow.
And that's their harmonies, that's their dance routines, that's where they stand, that's everything. It's it's quite impressive.
I think a lot of drama schools now, my friends who are at drama schools or have been to drama school, they do like a swing project now. I think.
Oh, really?
Where they do a show, they're doing a show and they have to each learn like 8 or 9 parts, and then right before the show they like pull the names out of a hat and go, right, you're playing this character. And they have to have known all of them, but they'll only play one. I'm sure it's something like that, which obviously just prepares them for the idea of being a swing, which, like you say, I think is just such an incredible mental challenge as well. Just the idea of not standing there, standing there one night, but standing a bit downstage in the same scene another night. That must be so confusing.
They're amazing. They really are. That's really cool that they train people. I mean, we were never trained in anything like that at college. That's brilliant they're doing that now.
But we guess that the feeling of sort of being part of a team and all kind of being in it together is similar, is it?
Oh, very similar. And also the other main similarity is the fact that nothing else matters. When you're on stage, you can't say, oh, I'm sorry, audience, I've got my lines. You have to wing it and sell it, and you are that is the everything. The being on stage is just, yeah, you've just gotta, you can't be distracted. You're absolutely that character, and everything you do has to be that character. And yeah, so I think that's
for us, we kind of build up to one big show week and then it's over.
yeah.
Keep it going week in, week out.
You have good shows and not so good shows. A lot of that depends on audience. If the audience is rooting for you and going mad, it definitely helps. Some days I guess you feel you do it on autopilot. They call it phoning it in. Oh God, how was your show today? Oh, I just phoned it in today. that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it wasn't my best work, but I got away with it. But it's such a slick machine that if somebody is slightly under par that day, it doesn't matter massively, because the whole machine is so perfectly rehearsed, so perfectly timed. Everything, lights, music, everything is, it's a machine. So but I don't know, sometimes you play little jokes, sometimes there's odd things going on. And I remember, do you remember when England won 5-1 against Germany?
The day I got married.
Is it? Oh, yay!
Yes.
So we could hear the pub across the road cheering, and it was a bit where we all had notebooks in Chicago in the scene with Mary Sunshine. I can't remember what the song was, but anyway, we were all writing on our notebooks and just passing. We were like showing the score to everybody. So it meant to be like being the journalists and writing down Roxy's amazing story. We were actually, England have scored again. So yeah, you have little things going on just to keep yourselves amused sometimes.
And would you recommend it? So I mean, obviously when we run the youth drama groups around Banbury, there are people who are keen and want to go on and study it further and the like. Is it what give advice, recommendations for those people who think it might be what they want to do?
You have to love it. If you love it, then absolutely. There's a lot of disappointment. You can try for a few years and you have to be committed, and you have to absolutely love it, and you have to accept that there's an awful lot of luck involved as well as everything else. It's not, I mean, when we were children going for auditions, for example, my mum used to say, you might not get that part if you don't look enough like the actress playing the mother. So there's things like that involved. It's not just how good you are, it's what height you are, like Katie knows. There's lots and lots of factors. Being in the right place at the right time. I mean, I think I got the part in Cha-Cha in Greece because I had a conversation with the MD about football teams the week before, and we'd had a bit of a laugh, and I think I stuck in his mind because a friend of mine was in it and I'd gone to a party where he was at, and I think I stuck in the mind partly because of my audition, but a lot because of the funny conversation we'd had the week before. I'd bumped into the right person. So yeah, you have to accept that there's a lot of luck involved, but if you love it, and it's absolutely worth going for. I mean, there's nothing to lose in that. You go to auditions and it's a free dance class. You try it. You think of every audition as a free class, a free learning opportunity. And if it doesn't happen, you've had an amazing experience and you've had fun. it's a very short-lived career. You can't think, some people are lucky and do it forever, but looking at my friends who are in it now, they probably don't mostly have children, or lives are very different. If they do have children, they haven't seen their children grow up in quite the same way because they've been working every evening. So I think it's definitely something you do. You give a try for a certain amount of years and try, and if it doesn't work, that's fine. There's loads of other things you can do. You can work a lot on the side. So as well as the musical theatre, I was doing commercial stuff as well. So pop videos and pop tours and things like that. So I think just don't put all your eggs in one basket. I was doing like fashion shows, when all the fashion shows used to have the proper model team and the dancer model team, and I was in the dancer model team. So I was doing that for a bit, and because those are short contracts, I could still go for the longer contracts of the musical theatre and in between the breaks, whereas some people would be on the makeup counter in Selfridges. So I'd probably had enough little bits, little modelly bits, little fashion bits, little pop stuff going on. I mean, my main advice is just never say no to anything, because you just don't know where it's going to take you. Just say, yes, I can do that.
Well, how do you get your outlet of sort of being on stage?
Aha, funny task. Well, as you know, so we do. I've been teaching a bit with the classes. So I do the adult club lit classes, which are, well, I say adult. Now we're doing it online. We've got loads of kids joining in as well, which is brilliant. So that's fun, and you sort of feel like you're on stage there because I'm performing, and I can't just phone it in. I have to do the big moves, and so to teach that way. Up until lockdown, I was doing children's parties, which is brilliant because I love kids, but there's no way I could be a teacher. I cannot discipline any of that discipline stuff. I am utterly useless at, and I don't know how teachers do it. But doing a party, you waltz in and you're the princess and you're there and everybody loves you and you're there, and then you go bye and they clear up.
You get them running around until they've run out their cake, and then you leave the mother to clear it up.
But for that 2 hours, you're the superstar. You are Princess Elsa, Princess Belle, the pirate princess, the Supergirl, whoever you are them. And it's acting a part, because you have to answer you turn up as Princess Anna, and people ask you why isn't Olaf with you, and you answer in character. You say, okay, he's lost trying to find a new nose, he's spent ate his carrot.
Nice improvisation throughout.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much like any theatre, really, with the parties. So yeah.
And you also in lockdown have been balloon modelling like mad, Kerry, because I follow you on Facebook, and the creations are absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you.
What's your favourite one you've done balloon wise?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I did a life-size Formula One car. That was
a life-size Formula One car, Ben.
Amazing! That is amazing. That is so cool. And where can people find you then, Kerry? So
I'm known as Come to My Party. So it's cometomyparty.net, or it's Come to My Party on Facebook, or Come to My Party UK on Instagram. But we do the virtual parties as well. So, I've got a new skill. I'm learning magic. I'm doing magic shows now.
Very cool.
That's what I mean, though. It's a case of adapting, and any performance is I found with your online parties, there's only so much dancing you can get them to do. You needed something else, and magic was somebody asked, can I do a few tricks? I was like, yeah, of course I can. So now I can.
Excellent. You've actually had to do what we've been doing all year as running a drama group. You've just had to keep thinking on your feet, and how do you keep it going?
You've done so. I honestly, some of the ideas you're coming up with, I love it. I loved that whole Taskmaster thing you guys did. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
Old Alex Horn and Greg Davis, they're kind of pushing it now, aren't
Nothing
they?
on you.
Gotta let you know.
But it's important. It is important, though, isn't it? And we've talked about this a few times. Just in both the performance industry and just in the industry at the moment in general, it's about finding new ways of doing things, because we now have this roadmap. Hopefully, that we're getting. The end is hopefully near, but you do have to think on your feet and adapt, and that's hopefully what we as creative types are good at.
Yeah.
So
which is why that whole ridiculous campaign, Fatima should retrain in cyber. I mean, first of all, do you know a creative type that isn't already retrained in about 7 other different industries for a start?
Trust me, I worked in tech sector for many years, and nobody needs to have to wear those outfits. You don't go from going on point to wearing trousers that don't meet your shoes and socks with sandals. Oh no.
As you say, Kerry, and you're a great sort of proof of this, is that people who are actors or dancers, that's not just one. They have so many strings to their bow. They have so many things they can do. Especially at the moment, I've seen West End actors and performers who are having to do their own video editing and learning how to run a social media, sort of have that sort of following, and all those skills are so key. And this idea that like you say, the whole Fatima should retrain thing is just like dancing is the only thing she can do. Like that's such an easy one little thing that she's done. Yeah, it's frustrating.
I mean, the thing is, with dancers, with performers, as well as getting to a stage where you are the absolute peak of your ability in, for example, ballet or acting or anything, you are doing exactly the same amount of hours at school since you were 5. You are training doubly. I mean, I used to leave school at 3, get changed in the car, and Mum would pick me up from dancing at 10. So I was doing 2 schools. It's like everybody. You whereas now. My boys come home from school and play Xbox for a bit or go out on their bikes. It's which is great as well, to get out and do fun stuff. But you are definitely fully trained in 2 things when you're a performer. But the other thing is, any interview you go to in your life, you go for a job interview, you walk in there with confidence, because you've been knocked back with so many auditions in your life. You don't care, it's fine, it's another audition, and you don't expect to get the part, but you're gonna flipping give it your all and be fabulous and have a few cool stories to tell that will more than likely get you the job.
I also think at the moment, and one thing people don't appreciate is, when people are saying, talking down about performers or actors or artists and things like that, that they are the people that have been getting us through this lockdown. Like, you can't say, oh, actors.
What is Netflix?
Exactly. Things like Netflix, listening to music, and I always say things like creative types are so essential. Even just the internet, the web page that you're looking at was designed by someone creative. They are so essential, and the idea that they're not, and the fact that people talk down about them. I know there was an article that came out near the start of lockdown about least essential jobs at the moment, and number 1 was artist. And the irony was they'd done it as an infographic, and you think someone had to design that.
Yeah.
You've told someone who you said is the most unimportant person at the moment to design that. They don't. Creative types just don't get enough credit, in my opinion. Because
I just think people don't understand. If they think in a certain academic way, maybe they can't. But the thing is, you need to be creative to do. I mean, science is a creative industry. You don't just learn by rote all the things scientists have learned before. To be a good scientist, you have to come up with new ideas and new vaccines. You have to be creative with all the things you put together. That creative is essential in so many different ways.
Absolutely. Have you ever thought about directing? getting involved in amateur theatre in that way, Kerry?
Like, I'm just not very good at telling people
Oh,
what to do.
you don't want to do the shouting.
No.
We could do the shouting for you. You could just
Okay.
I'm ever so good at shouting.
We've got lovely people in Hungersware anyway, so hopefully not too much shouting. But yeah, we'd love to do stuff with you and do.
Oh no, I'd love to. I'd love to be involved.
One day when this is over, we'll definitely have to sort something. But
Well,
Kerry,
aren't we doing a duet on Old Bazaar in Cairo at some point, Jill? I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We'll bounce back, Kerry.
I think that would be a good one.
but Kerry, this has been absolutely so interesting and really, really lovely to speak to you.
And it'll be
Thank
so
you so
useful for
much.
lots of people to hear you talk about how your roots and your advice. So thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
We've really loved it. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening. We hope you found it just as useful and insightful as us. And join us next week for a new topic and a new.
Even if it's just to see what Ben's wearing next week. I mean,
I can't top this. This is the most colourful shirt I've got. But hopefully you'll join us for other reasons. But thank you very much, and we will see you next week.
More TreadingTheBoards then. Bye.